Hello, happy Sunday. How are you all today? Hope you're well. My kids are still awake. 10 o'clock, not good. Just checking I am on. Are we on? Let's have a look. It's coming up. There we go. We're on. Let's turn that volume down. My kids are still awake. Yes. So hello. Happy Sunday. Hope you've had a good day or having a good day. And welcome to Real Life Together. This is our second live, so I'm really enjoying these lives. So our first live was 2 weeks ago, so I do them every other week because I'm also running Travel Transition Together, which is for anyone that's full-time travel, whether you're solo, family, retired. I do that the first and third Sunday of the month, and then the Real Life Together for everyone else that's going through real life stuff. No airy fairy, no positive toxicity, none of that jazz, the real stuff, real and raw. And I do that on the second and fourth Sunday of the month. So this is the second one. Last fortnight, we did a little bit about knowing a bit about ourselves. So basically, I want to build a community here. I'm all about community. I'm so passionate about it. And I thought, where do we start? So we talked about knowing a bit about ourselves and who we are, because if you've heard that saying, you need to know who you are and love yourself before you find a partner, right? And they love you. And it's similar with anything, community. How can you go and meet people and really connect with people if you don't truly know who you are? And I think we have to do that throughout our lives, right? And check in. So that's what these are about. If you're new here, my name's Carrie. Hello. And I'm a trained mindfulness teacher. In a previous life, I was a physio. So that's a little bit about me. I've been through a lot of grief, a lot of bereavements. 3 out of 4 of mine and my husband's parents died within 3 years. And I came to mindfulness just a bit before all that happened, and I'm so glad I did. So I will be talking a bit about mindfulness as we go through, because they're my big tools. So hopefully the connection's okay, because we have just arrived a couple of days now in Bali. And so hopefully the connection's okay. This is the first time I'm doing this here, and this beautiful pool behind us. Okay. So same as everything, I'll do a little run through. I'll keep it quite quick. I'm starting to get bitten out here. You might want to grab a pen as well. So while I'm going through this stuff, you can grab yourself a brew and a pen, and let's make this comfortable and a really social event, just hanging out. I'm going to start the topic. Today's topic is about finding our joy. So we're going to dive into that. I'm going to open with that topic, and then the floor will be yours, and it's a little bit of to-in and fro-in with Q&As and everything. And then we sort of reflect on the week gone by and intentions for the week forward, which is why I like to do this on a Sunday, yeah. So I've gone through the groups and what we do in each one. And like I say, I'm not any sort of mental health professional. I am a trained mindfulness teacher, so bearing that in mind, use your own discernment with what you want to put out there onto YouTube, because this will get put up onto replay, but I believe your comments actually in the live don't get put onto the replay, so that's not as bad as I thought. But my email is down in the link. If we touch on something that's a bit more personal, you want to go in a bit more depth than just in the comments, I'm quite happy to read anything in the email there. Yeah, and it's about commitment. These sessions, I'd love for us to get the right timing and things for everyone to really be able to show up and commit to each other. Committing to each other even when you might not want to yourself. So last week I had a bit of a headache starting, but I still showed up. Obviously I'm the host, so I've got to, right? today I've got a sty. Feeling a bit run down, so I need to take a bit of my own advice. But it is about commitment. It is about showing up, because how else do you build community? How else do you build connection? Yeah. And to hold yourself accountable. So whatever you come on here, what's your intention? What we're going to work on? We're here to support in that. Yeah. So that's what I'm on about here. And this line that I found the other week was, what's shared here stays here, what's learned here leaves here. And I like that. So along with my direct email, you can see my Ko-Fi in the link there. That's my shop or donations. And I've got my blog, which is my weekly blog on Substack there. So if you want to further follow me, that's where I am. I don't do Instagram or Facebook anymore. So let's dive in. We have got the topic of finding joy. Now, I am going to refer back to some notes here, because I'm just trying to get husband's attention. I am going to refer back to some notes, because I do get a bit brain foggy sometimes and forget what's going on. And forget where I'm at. So apologies for referring to this, but it's just going to keep it in a bit of order. But then we'll open the floor to you guys. So, yes, let's talk about finding joy, and stay to the end, because I want to give you a piece of, it's not advice, it's just, I want to share with you what I did that was a game changer for me. Now, I'll be honest, I got out of the habit of it, and I need to start doing it. And I'm going to start tomorrow. Now we're in the new location, I can start up my routines again. It's a lot cooler here. It's way hot. We've just come from Hoi An in Vietnam, and it was way hot, and everything just stopped. All my stuff, all my healthy wellness stuff stopped. So I've got a new yoga mat, because obviously you can't pack it in my suitcase, and I'll start all that from tomorrow. So yes, this thing that was a game changer for me, I will start that back up again tomorrow. So I like to do these things and start with a bit of a definition. And, definitions can vary across the board, but it just means that we're on the same page talking about the same thing, right? So defining what is joy, because I think with a lot of things, these can be interchangeable, right? Joy and happiness. So this definition is, joy is deeper. It's more enduring state that can coexist with other emotions, while happiness is a temporary feeling, often dependent on external circumstances. Joy is a choice and can persist even in difficult times, whereas happiness tends to fluctuate based on life events. Yeah, so we're going to unpack that a little bit. It's an emotion, and it can be included with another emotion. Where was it here? More enduring state that can coexist with other emotions. Right. So let's talk a little bit about another interchangeable language, which is emotions and feelings. So emotions are quicker, and they're more like based off a stimuli. It's a quicker response in the body, where feelings are slower, and they merge over, they happen over time, and usually from circumstances and what we then use our cognition to conjure up, what you add to the already emotions, right? So feelings are slower, and they build over time. Emotions are quicker and more instinct in the body. So for things like, you can have anger. Anger can be quick. It can also be slow. It can come from the emotion. So anger, you could have somebody cut you off in the traffic, and anger can just come straight away, and you get that road rage, right? It's quick. Now, you could leave that. They've gotten in. Okay, you're pissed off, right? They've jumped in. You've got angry. And then, you could let that go. But what happens when you get home to your partner? Do you then repeat that story, that negative story, and then that becomes a feeling of frustration and disappointment and all this stuff, which has come from the anger. So you then get a feeling that has come from an emotion. it can go the other way around. You can have, you can be triggered by your kids, right? Your kids can be doing something all the time and get triggered and triggered, and you're frustrated and frustrated and frustrated and frustrated. Go to bed, go to bed, go to bed. And then like we're going through right now, if you can hear the door shutting, that's my kids not going to sleep. So you can be triggered and frustrated and frustrated. And eventually what happens? That feeling goes into an anger, an actual emotion, a body response where you might shout. Okay. So that's the difference. So it's saying that joy is an emotion, and because it's deeper, but it can coexist with other emotions. So you can be doing something else, or you can be feeling something else, but still feel joy at the same time. So I thought that was really interesting to just sort of get the ball rolling on this. Just checking in there with the comments. Okay, so where has it gone? Where has our joy gone? Assuming it has gone. If you're out there and you experience lots of joy throughout your day, every day, then great, that's amazing. But I think the majority of us can get bogged down with global events, life events, time of our life events, and all these things start to layer on, right? And then we suddenly go in, God, when was the last time I felt real joy? And that was me. And this is my story of that. So I'm used to being present. I'm used to doing all the mindfulness things. I'm used to looking for it amongst the unpleasant, finding the pleasant. But I still didn't think I was feeling joy, or not as much as I wanted. I wanted more joy in my life. And I kept saying for years, I mean, I'm talking years, it could be close to a decade. And I was like, where's my joy? So I was like, is it because of increased responsibility, becoming a parent, a mother? Is it because of similar time I went through the grief, right? Is it grief? Is it just being too busy and life is just too busy now for all of us? Is it, and because of that, is our nervous system heightened? Are we overstimulated? So there's no room for joy? We're just too wired, right? And I look back and I say, I wrote here, who knows? It could be all of those things, if I'm honest. But I don't think it matters where it's gone. So I put in the thumbnail here, finding joy. I don't think it matters where it's gone, because I think it matters finding it again. But is it to be found? Like I said, I'm trying to find the word. We are innate to have joy within us. We are born with joy. Our kids are full of joy all the time. So I don't think it's lost. I don't think it's something to find. It's a little bit of contradiction to the title and the thumbnail, because I think people think we've got to find our joy again, find who we are. Like I did last video for Real Life Together, find who are you, find who you are. I don't think you have to find them. I think you have to uncover some stuff that you've put on the top. And it's literally peeling it all back and exposing it again is probably the better term for it. Exposing your joy again. You don't need to find it because it's already there. So that's what I think. I don't think it's lost. I think it's already there. Our joy is already there. So what is your story? I don't have anyone with me on the chat right now. So normally, as this community will build, I'll hopefully have some people on this live. And this is where I'll chat with you and you'll put your things in the comments too. So if you're watching this on replay, drop in the comments your story about joy. Like I say, if you're lucky to have joy all the time, most days, every day, that's amazing. I don't think that's very common, but I would applaud you. and do say in the comments if that's you, what do you have to mindfully do something to be in that state, or are you naturally like that? I'm interested if that is you. were you brought up like that? Were your parents like that? Is that commonplace with you, or have you really found yourself just doing it? Because I think for the rest of us, we can get bogged down. We can put these layers over us and sort of hide the joy that's inside because of it all, right? So tell me in the comments your story around joy. If you've lost it, if you found it again, in inverted commas. And then I want to move on to what brings you joy. So I've listed a few things down here. So I've got music. I absolutely love music. And, if you're anything like me, my main thing I want to work on, I keep saying this, is one, to stop being a shouty parent, and to two, get off my phone. They're the big things. And if I can conquer them, I mean, I don't smoke, I don't drink. I eat relatively healthy. I was vegan. I've moved to vegetarian while we travelled out here, thinking it'd be easier. I exercise as much as I can. I do all the things, but there are things that I want to let go of. And I think the phone thing, it distracts from this. And I want to have that silence and that space around my life a bit more, so it's more open to find joy. And the other day, it was a couple of weeks ago now, and I was like, oh, I'm just sick of scrolling. Now, I don't do Facebook and Instagram anymore. That's been really good. But I do use YouTube a lot. And just got to a point where I just didn't want it anymore. I was watching or listening to something while I was washing up, the usual, to the point where you're taking it to the bathroom, right? Is this you? Let me know in the comments. Please tell me I'm not alone in this. It was getting to be a lot, I dread to think I don't have that thing to tell you how much you're on it. But yeah, it was getting to be a lot. So one day I just put some music on, and I put some 90s hits on, and I just loved to dance, and I danced away while I was washing up instead, and that was good, because you just got that one stimulus. You haven't got, and you're not learning. I think, for me anyway, I watch more educational things, or things that I'm interested in to learn about, rather than entertainment style things. So I'm just constantly stimulating myself, conceptually. And I just, with music, you can just let yourself go and get into it. And putting 90s on, oh, it just takes you back there. So music is such a thing to bring joy in your world. And I think we've kind of lost it. We've stopped doing it so much, haven't we? And we've gone on to using the screens and listening to live music. Now, unfortunately, I thought I would have listened to a lot more live music than I have since we've been traveling. So, yeah, that's unfortunate, but I am still on the hunt to watch some more live music, because the thing with live music for me is, whether you like that genre that is being played or not, I love to watch a musician get in the flow state. I just think it's so, like, I get in there with them. It's like, even if it's not the same language, right? You can just feel the energy and the connection, and you can feel flow, and you can feel they're almost being part of the music. And yeah, it brings me so much joy to listen to live music. What about you? Is that something you like? Dancing. So actually, go back to music. So that's something I started doing in my morning routine back in Langkawi. I did a video about that, 24-hour day in the life of a world schooler. And that was one of the things I did. I started putting music on and dancing and moving. And it brought joy to the start of my day, and I loved it. And I started doing that as a routine. And also, that was my time for silence. So I'd actually start with silence. So that's on my list as well. Silence. When you're a busy mum, when you're with the kids 24/7 like we are, and you have to physically make time to be apart, I get up early in the morning to do that, because that's my time. And I used to meditate. Being a mindfulness teacher, I used to meditate a lot. And I just haven't done it for so long. I just haven't felt pulled. It's not wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with meditation, and I will go back to it. It's a tool to use, definitely. But in this time of my life, I like to wake up in the morning with my eyes open and sit in silence and watch the world in silence. You might hear the birds and watching the world wake up. Do you know what I mean? And the light come, and the different shades of light. You can almost, when you do it very often, you can almost tell what time it is by the way the world's waking up and the light. So silence and dancing, that was starting to bring me joy in my routine. And I'll do a video on our time in Hoi An, but while we've been in Hoi An, I haven't really done it. So we've had 2 months where my routine's gone. So tomorrow's the day. We'll talk about it in intentions. So music, dancing, quiet time throughout the day, and then silence as well, like spending silence. But quiet time where you're not doing anything. We don't do it anymore. I did a video about why don't we people watch anymore? So if you go to a cafe and you're on your own, why are we getting screens out? It's brilliant to watch people. We used to do that so much back in the day. And I had a comment when I did that video, and they said, I wouldn't want to watch people watch, because I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. I'd feel uncomfortable if someone did that to me, and I don't want to do that to them. And stare them out. And I was like, I got the impression, I might have been wrong, I got the impression that they were a younger generation that don't really know what that term means. People watching, you're not staring at people, you're not like, you're watching about, you're just taking it all in. And what's that person doing over there? Who's that person with? And oh, look how they're interacting as a family. You're just curious about what's going on in your world. You're not honing in and staring somebody out. You're not making somebody feel uncomfortable. But I think we've got to a point now where eye contact it makes people feel uncomfortable because of screens, right? When did that happen? That talking to someone face to face makes people feel uncomfortable? So I think that's another, tick for getting rid of the watching the screens, right? Hugs, I've got here hugs, and I'm going to come on to that a little bit more in a minute when I talk about hormones. But a hug for 30 seconds or more will bring the hormone in, and I'll come on to that. But basically, hugs bring me joy. It could be your kids, it could be your partner, it could be your friend. It's just a hug for no reason. You don't have to be sad to have a hug. You can just be stood waiting for something and have a hug. I've started doing that. I'll just go to my husband and hug him for no reason, and it just makes me feel good. It's a little bit of joy. Feeling seen and heard. And again, that's friends, partners, feeling seen and heard by them. And that feels good. You feel actually connected with someone, and that brings an element of joy. So you can feel connection and you can feel joy. There's the two again. I've also put stranger down there. You can feel seen and heard by a stranger. And sometimes you'd be like, whoa, nobody's ever seen me like that. How did you know? And you're a bit astonished, a bit amazed, like, how did you know? Like, yes, exactly. That's exactly how I feel. And that connection and somebody seeing you and feeling seen and heard can bring that feeling of joy. So let me ask you this. Well, firstly, let me ask you this. Drop what brings you joy down in the comments. I'd love to know. That's what this is all about. What brings you joy? Let's do more of that, okay? What's underneath the stresses, the responsibilities, the to-do lists, the dramas? Like, what's underneath that brings you joy? Put that down in the comments. And then another question. Have you noticed that they're all in the moment activities? So let's go back through my list. I've got music, in the moment activities. So yeah, okay, I've said that you can wash up and do things while you're having music, but to really feel that sense of joy is what I was saying I do in the morning. So yes, with music, you can do two things at once. But if you truly listen to music, and especially in that example of listening to live music, you're in the moment. to get that feeling, like when you, like I was describing, like somebody's in their flow and you're feeling them in their flow, to get to that place, you have to be in that moment. You cannot be thinking about anything else, past or future. You have to be in the moment to feel that. Dancing, same thing. I mean, all these things can be done without being in the present moment. Your mind can wander while you're dancing, but to really feel joy, I think you have to be in the moment and feel your body moving. And what I do on the morning in the little morning routine is, how do I want my body to move? Is it just a gentle move? You know, am I that time in my cycle and I just want to be gentle with myself? Or am I that point in my cycle where I'm really ready to move and do everything, and maybe do some exercise as well on top of that? Quiet time, again, and paying attention to what's around you and having some silence. It's all about being in the moment. Hugs in the moment. What does it feel like to be hugged by somebody you love? What does that feel like? Because you know that my experience of grief, you can't get that back, and that's usually what you miss when people around us die. You'd give anything for one more hug. That's usually what people say. I would give anything for one more hug. Oh, that's that song. I'd give anything for one last dance. Was that oh God, I can't remember who sang that. If you know the song, put it down. One last dance with your father, you know that one. But yeah. So and then feeling seen and heard. You have to have connected with someone to really feel seen and heard, right? So that is in the moment. You're not distracted by what you're going to have for tea when you're talking to that person. You're feeling really seen and heard. So you're in the moment activities. So my definition of joy now is a deep emotion you feel when you are fully in the present moment. To me, joy is a deep emotion that you feel when you are in the present moment. I love that. I love that definition, because I searched for that definition so long, because like I said, I was doing it. I was doing the mindfulness stuff. I was like, oh, there's I'm liking the weather, or there's a beautiful butterfly. I was looking for the pleasant in the day, like we do with mindfulness, along with the unpleasant stuff. But I still was like, I'm not feeling joy. I'm not feeling joy. So it's about being really, really present with your emotions, with your feelings, with your outside world and your inside world. Yeah. And I'd just like to say that I have put it in a playlist. I've left it on. I did this last August, and it was a glance the glimmers for the whole month of August. And I did that, and I showed up. And the days I couldn't do an actual video, I did it as a post. So there are a few days missing in that month, but I did show up and I did put it in the post. So, we're coming to August again. You don't have to wait for August, but you might want to. It might be something to just work alongside me doing it, because I had my birthday in August. I have my birthday in August. And, that's the day my mum died suddenly, actually, on my birthday. And so I do that even more when you're going through a really tough time, to really search for the glimmers as well. So you can hold the grief, you can hold the pain, you can hold the sorrow, but at the same time, you can look for the joys. So that on my birthday. So it is bittersweet. I feel the pain. I do all that. I acknowledge my mum. I think about my mum. I talk to my mum. But I will go and enjoy my day with my family too. And I really work at doing that. And some days, it's balance isn't about getting 50-50. It's about getting somewhere where it's not 100-100, So, some years are better than others with that. But that's life. Everything flows. Okay, so what did you do? I should have done this as a video. I'm talking so much about this, but I'm so passionate about it. Here's a question. Put it in the comments. What did you do as a kid you really enjoyed? What did you do as a kid you really enjoyed? And do you still like it? So drop it in the comments. I did this. I did this as an exercise, and I was like, oh God, I remember roller booting. And it was just before Blades came out. I started getting it to that age where I wasn't doing it anymore. It was a bit too young for me. So I didn't get Blades, but I got roller boots with the two side by side. And I used to go outside, and we had a community centre right outside our house. So I used to just circle around there, do dances on it and everything. But it was just, I loved it so much. And then I thought, oh, could I do that with the kids? And then I was like, where can I do it? And then I found something that did roller disco. So I went and found some roller boots in a charity shop of all places, of my size as well. And the kids had their little skate ones. I think the youngest had ones that like go on your shoes, them ones. And we did this roller disco. We only did it once, because we left after that and we had to sell everything. So, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And however many years later, what was it, 30 odd years later, 35 years later, perhaps. And I didn't fall over, and I was going really fast as well. There was a few nearly happening, but I didn't fall over. So I still got it. So yeah, what did you do when you were a kid? Badminton was another one for me. I used to be in the badminton clubs at school, at college, at uni even, and I haven't really picked up a badminton racket since. And the last place we were in, they had badminton in their schedule with the world schooling groups, and I was going to go, but I never got round to it, unfortunately. But badminton is something I really like, so that's something I might get into here as well. So yeah, what did you do as a kid? What did you like? And do you still like it? Because it's all right if you don't. And if that's too hard, if you can't think about what you like, what don't you like and why? And that might get you to do the opposite. So if you don't like being outside doing the activities, what inside activities do you like doing? Or, I can't think. If you don't like exercising, what can you do? Or you can't exercise, what can you do that's more stationary, more sat down? It'll just guide you. So you might know what you liked as a kid, and you may or may not like to do that now. And if you don't know what you like, you could look at what you don't like, and that will help you find what you like. Does that make sense? Okay. So once we've found what we like and doing more of that, let's go into the hormones just briefly. I'm not going to bore you with this, but why do we need to spend more time focusing on the joyful activities? And it's to do with our hormones. So if we go back to anger, right? Anger, these survival emotions come up to protect us, right, from danger. A car's coming, oh, stress, move, let's go. Well, a hormone is released called cortisol or adrenaline, and they're released really quickly. Makes sense, right? There's no point in it taking half an hour to get to your brain to tell your body to move, to get out of the way of a car. So it needs to be quick. It's literally seconds, 1, 2, 3 seconds max till it gets the signal move. And you'll feel it. I've noticed it. You'll feel like if you're in that kind of scenario, you feel like an electric shock, and your hairs on your arms go up, don't they? Well, that's that flood of that hormone coming to say, get out of the way, and then you can and then it literally comes down. And that's what we're supposed to do. That hormone is released for a short period of time to get you out of danger and to move on. What happens in our world, I'm getting on a ramble now, what happens in our world, we stay in that, because it's not always about getting out the way of a car now. It could be your boss is on your case, your kids are triggering you every single day. It could be something like that, and you stay in that. So you're flooding your body with these adrenaline. That's what gets us overstimulated and our nervous system heightened, right? I went on a tangent there, but it makes sense. So the opposite of that then, these warm, gentle, cuddly, lovely, joyful emotions aren't for survival. So the hormones take longer to come. So this is probably why what's happened with me. I've been doing the thing, but I haven't sat in the thing long enough. So I've gone, oh, there's a butterfly. Let's move on with my day, right? The hormone isn't even released, because the hormone takes at least 30 seconds. So that's why we say about a 30-second hug, a 10-second hug, 20-second hug, it's not long enough. That you've got to get that body flooded with the oxytocin and begins with E. I've forgotten the other one. Oxytocin and endorphin. Oxytocin and endorphins. Like oxytocin's like the love one, isn't it? When you're breastfeeding and stuff like that, and endorphins just to feel good, like you get the runner's high and things like that. So these are they all take time. Take 30 seconds, a lot longer than a couple of seconds for your more fight flight ones, right? So we have to pay attention. We have to be in that present moment longer with that joyful activity that you do. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense in the comments when you're watching this back on replay. Yeah, and so Glance the Glimmers is a way of doing that. So you can check out those little videos. Okay, I'm going to start to bring the topic to an end now. And this is where I want to share with you something that started to help me and something I'm going to start again from tomorrow. So as part of my story and this finding joy, this grasping, find joy, I need to find joy, and I'd sit down with it. And, you think about manifestation and visualization, they say, think and feel what it would be like to have the thing you want, and that will bring you joy. And I've done it before, I did it. I can recount doing it. So that means I haven't done it a lot. I remember visualizing good weather for a camping that we were going to do. And I visualized us dancing, and it was warm, and the music was good, and I did all that thing. And then we got there, and I had that moment. I'd already felt it. Like when I was in there, I'd already felt it. So you can think and feel something. But I started to think I can't remember what joy felt like. I can't remember what it is to smile all the time, to really smile and to really feel joyful, and what it even looks like. Now, I didn't know this was a thing until someone told me afterwards. This is my journey. I come across ideas, like I get downloads, whatever you want to call it. I get an idea, an intuition to do something, and then I get confirmation of it from either something online or something someone confirms to me. Oh yeah, that's a thing. Yeah. And I'm like, oh right, didn't know about that. And this thing is mirror work. Now, I didn't call it mirror work. I just called it smiling in the mirror, right? And so on a morning, at any time I would smile in it. Now, you might freak out about this, but it works. And, another thing is like, if you're in the middle of a trigger, if your kids are triggering you, if you smile, you can't be angry. You just can't. Like, if you deliberately do it, it gets you into it starts to release the hormone, I think. So I start waking up in the morning now. As soon as you go to the bathroom, you've gone to the toilet, you're washing your hands, usually where the mirror is, right? A lot of people avoid the mirror. They don't want to look themselves in the mirror. And for some people, here's the disclaimer, for some people, it's not for you, because I didn't even know it was called mirror work and it was a thing. For some people, they find it really hard to look at themselves, and they could have some traumatic response to doing that or whatever. And that's your discernment, okay? Please do this with your own discernment. But I would wake up in the morning, go to the toilet, wash my hands, and start to smile in the mirror. And as alien as that sound, I would look at myself and just look at me smiling and just say, oh God, that's so much nicer to see them than that. And I am somebody that can take life a bit serious and need that. And that's why I crave that joy in my life a lot more. So to do it felt really alien at first, but I started to get on a roll with it, and I started to enjoy doing it. It's like, oh, there's the mirror again, and I smile. Sounds fake. It's not just do that and then go back to that. It's to sit with it, at least 30 seconds, get those hormones going. And really, why is it weird to smile? Why is it weird to see you smile? And really allow it to be there. And it's like you can have that yoga, laughing yoga now, can't you? I've never done one of them sessions, but I imagine it might feel funny to start with, and then eventually the laughter in the room just snowballs, right? Well, it's similar, you know, you get to a point doing this where you just want to keep smiling because it feels so much nicer, you know. So that is what I recommend to do if that's appropriate for you. And it's something I will be getting into now. And I've written here, lastly, I don't strive for joy so much anymore, because being content feels just as nice and freeing now. So the other thing is that maybe I don't strive for joy. Maybe that should be happiness more, because happiness is fleeting. So that joy versus happiness. Happiness is usually something external. It's like to do with something outside. I'm happy that we're now in Bali, you know, like that kind of thing. But then what? The happiness goes, right? It's fleeting. So yeah, I think I'm more happy. I feel better being content than looking for happiness. And when I'm feeling content, I can also feel joy. So I don't strive for joy anymore. I will use this a lot more, everything I've spoke about here, and sit in the presence more, because if it's coming off those devices, we've got the time to do this. We've got the space and the time to really be present with every moment. You know, there's moments where we're not seeing our kids because we're too caught up in the to-dos. And then when we finish, when we stop, I know what it's like. I'm not criticizing anyone here. And you sit and all you want to do is numb. You don't want to think, and you'll pick up that phone because that is easier than than sitting with your own thoughts. People don't like to do that. And again, some people might have reason for that. But to put the phone down and to just sit and be with what is, so you don't miss life. We're missing life with these things. They're designed to take our attention. And that's what happens. Our attention gets lost and put onto all these other things when the joy's underneath it, if you just let it all uncover and be more present in the moment with the things. And make a point of putting these things, you've just listed them, make a point of putting these things in your life, what it is you love and enjoy. Okay, if any of that has made sense, has resonated, please drop it in the comments what you think about that if you're watching it on the replay. Let me go up here, what we're doing next. So yeah, that is literally where we'd sort of do a Q&A now and ask about anything generally. Still nobody on the live, so yeah, if you've got any Q&As there, drop them in the comments on the replay. What we'd normally do with people is to now reflect on, sorry, I feel a bit funny with my eye. I would look now at supporting and celebrating reflections on the week gone by. So anything we're struggling with, this is where we use this as supporting each other. Any advice, or we've been there, this happened, this worked for us. Oh, great, thank you. I'll try that and I'll report back. Accountability show up next time, and I can let you know how it worked out. And we're building a community. And then we'll move on to intentions for the next week. So reflections on the week gone by. Challenges, we've had a few challenges. So as I mentioned last time, the kids have had impetigo. We were stuck in the house that we weren't comfortable staying in the first place in Hoi An, and for our last few weeks there we were inside because it's very contagious. We didn't want to give it to anyone else. With open sores, we didn't want to pick anything else up as well, so we just stayed inside, and it was very disappointing, really. And then we kind of, I think it was just before we got here or when we got here, and there was more spots appeared and we're like, oh, I thought we'd got rid of this. So there's all that going on. when we left, the night before we left Hoi An, we went to Old Town to have our last meal on the night. Got back in good time. Get the kids to bed early. Flying out early. Taxi that side was booked. Taxi this side was booked. Check-in was all done. Right, 7:30. Get the kids sorted. Let's get to bed. Richard looked at these emails and found that we had 2 flights. So we had a flight from Da Nang Airport to Kuala Lumpur to here in Bali. And the email said that the first flight is running late, which meant it was going to land 10 minutes after the second flight was due to leave. So we couldn't get our connecting flight. And we did it through a third agent, a third party. I won't mention them just in case. But we went through this third party and they said, this is what's happened. You can check other flights or you can apply for a refund, cancel it and refund. And we looked at the other flights and it was like a 21-hour layover in Kuala Lumpur. And we're like, we can't do that with 2 kids. We're probably best to just cancel, get a refund and do it again. So we did. We cancelled the check-in and all that stuff. And then we got the next flight sorted because we had to do it all. It was all happening there and then. And it meant getting up even earlier in the morning, setting our alarm an hour earlier than we thought, changing the taxi and everything. So we just had to get in that zone and get it done and get some sleep. And then when we got, I can't remember when it was, but when we got to the airport, one of the airports, well, we ended up changing, we go through Singapore. So when we got to Singapore airport, there's all this like, oh, we haven't decided whether we're going to give you it back yet. And we've had all this carry on. So this is a long story, which is still ongoing. We don't know whether we're going to get refunded or not. And it's like 700 quid. So it's a lot, really. So we're a bit gutted about that if we don't. So that's been a challenge. Yeah. So, I'm calling it adventures and lessons for life and for travel, right? And that's been the challenging things. So if anyone's got any words of support for this kind of thing happening, what to do next time, I'm guessing it's best not to go with it because they're saying that I'm guessing it's best to not go with a third party and go with direct with the airline, but then it's more expensive, right? Because they're saying that the policy for the airline isn't to refund. But we felt like we didn't have a choice. So with this third party, the way they said it on their anyway, we've sent letters, we've tried, but we can't get any. Excuse me. We can't get any. There's no email for them. They want a ring, which is difficult, right? There's a chat bot, and we did get to speak to somebody last night, and they said they would email, but their email was very vague, and so that's where we're at now. We don't know where we are. So if anyone's got any support for that, that would be great. Celebrations for the week. Well, the fact we're finally here. We have gone out. We've had a walk today. The weather is so much better. It's like 10 degrees cooler here, and we can actually get out in the day comfortably and walk again. I missed walking. I used to do these walk and talk videos in Langkawi because I got down there early in the morning. There was somewhere to walk. There's nowhere to walk in Hoi An, the accommodation was part of that because we didn't end up being near the beach, and that was part of it. So that's something we know. Adventures and lessons. It's something we've learned about ourselves. So we're here in a cooler temperature. We have got a pool, but until the girls are absolutely full on, like good with their skin, we're not really using it. So that's a bit of a challenge at the same time. But we're here. We're celebrating here. And we are really just enjoying it. I've got a good vibe. Is this the place that I want to stay a bit longer? I think it could be from early days anyway. And then intentions for next week, I've kind of alluded to that, haven't I? Having been in a more comfortable environment, I'm going to start my routines again. So, yeah. And, we always have excuse of these things, don't we? Routines. And I'm someone that likes a routine, but I can also overwhelm myself with the routines. It's like, right, okay, I must get back to doing this, that, and that. I'm going to be gentle with myself tomorrow. I'm going to go to bed. Before I go to bed, I'm going to think about what it is I'm going to do and when, and set the alarm for it and have that much planning. But what happens, happens, and by the end of the week, it would be good to be pretty much back to what I was doing back in Langkawi. That would be really good, because for mental health, that really just helped. And for bringing joy to my life, that really, really helped. So that is something I will be doing this coming week. And that is it, really. So drop in the comments if you've enjoyed this, and also if you've got any future topics you'd like me to talk about. The next one is in 2 weeks' time. Let me give you the date. 12th of July. God, isn't this year flying by already? So the 12th of July, I've just got a list of things down here. I've got things like compassion and empathy. We can go into that. Decision fatigue and overwhelm. I'm just getting hubby again because kids are still not asleep. Compassion and empathy. So that's something we can talk about. Decision fatigue and overwhelm. Saying sorry and accountability. How to change. So your patterns and habits and mindset, things like that. Accountability habits, so things like phone, food, stress, like these are real life topics, right? Real life things that we want support with and we want community. Why celebration matters more than we think. So that's why we do this every week. So obviously it won't just be me talking. The more we get here in the community, showing up live, it will be a case of helping each other out. Okay, so you'll be speaking as well. Loneliness, grief, identity, community, burnout. They're just some topics off the top of my head. If any of them resonated with you and they're appropriate right now for you, then drop them in the comments and we can do a poll if there's a few of them, or if there's just one, or we'll do them over the weeks. So yes, 12th of July is the next one. And all I'd like to say is thank you so much for watching on replay, I'm assuming now, because we haven't had anyone, unfortunately. Oh, there's somebody there that's joined us now. Hello. Right at the end. So if you want to jump on the replay, I'll get this out and uploaded hopefully tonight, if not tomorrow, because it's now getting on for like 11 o'clock here. So my throat is going. So yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Check out the links I'll put them in the replay as well. For anything, for my blog, my own Substack, for my digital products and donations. And if you want to email direct, if any of this has resonated, that's all. I'll put all that in there as well. So thank you so much. Thank you for watching. I really enjoyed these, and let's build a community, real life together. Thank you so much. Bye for now.